There's something teachers say, something out loud, sometimes just in their heads, when a student walks in distracted, off task, disconnected. Leave your problems at the door. Understand why we say this. We have a curriculum, we have 30 other students. We need a certain level of order to make the day work. But today, I want to tell you something that changed everything about how I teach. A child's nervous system doesn't have a door. What happened at 7 a.m. is still happening inside their body at 9 a.m. And no amount of instructing, redirecting, or demanding focus will change that until we understand what we're actually asking them to set aside. Welcome to Dr. Wilson's Butterfly Talk, where we have real conversations about what it actually takes to raise a child who believes in themselves. I'm Dr. Wilson. I'm not a licensed therapist or psychologist, but I am an educator with over 20 years working directly with students who carry things into my classroom that no child should have to carry. And I have learned that the way to reach a child who is living in stress is not to push harder, it's to understand first. Today, we're talking about what happens when a child home life shows up in the classroom and what parents and teachers can do about it, not to fix everything, but to create a landing space soft enough that the child can actually breathe. I want to tell you about a student, and I'll call him Jordan. Jordan had a reputation before I ever met him. Teachers warned me he's explosive. He flips without warning. Last year, he threw a chair. The first morning he walked into my classroom, I watched him, not his behavior, him. The way his jaw was tight before he even sat down, the way his eyes scanned the room the second he walked in, checking every corner, the way he sat on the edge of his seat like he might need to move at any second. That's not a behavior problem. That is a nervous system that has been trained to expect danger. I found out later that Jordan's morning at home were unpredictable. Arguments, instability. Some mornings he came to school not knowing what he coming home to. His brain was still there, at that kitchen table, at that front door, even when his body was in my classroom. So one morning, instead of jumping into the lesson, I quietly placed a notebook on his desk. I told him, "This is just yours. You don't have to show anyone. You can write, draw, just scribble, whatever you need to get out." For the first 10 minutes of class, I give everyone a few quiet minutes. You can use that however way you need. The first day he just sat there. The second day he opened it. The third day he didn't throw anything, not because I had solved his life, but because I gave him somewhere to put it down. I didn't know I was even carrying all of that. That's what Jordan told me at the end of the year. He was 12 years old. See, here's the real problem. Here's what chronic stress does to a child's brain and why it matters more than anything else we're trying to teach. When a child is living in an environment unpredictably, conflict or fear, even low level background fear, that brain releases stress hormones continuously. Over time, this rewires how the brain functions. It trains the brain to prioritize threat detection over learning, memory, and focus. This is not a choice, this is biology. It means a child who can't sit still may actually be a child whose body is prepared to run. It means a child who overreacts may have a threat detection system that is calibrated too high because in their real life, it has to be. We keep asking these children to perform when what they need first is permission to land. And here's where the proactive approach becomes essential. A reactive teacher waits for the explosion and then responds. A proactive teacher creates conditions at the start of every day before the explosion that give the child, the nervous system, a chance to settle, not because it's soft, but because it's smart. You cannot reach the part of the brain responsible for learning if the survival part of the brain is still running the show. Full stop. Here are my solutions. What you can do today. Here are three proactive things you can implement, whether you are a parent or an educator, to create a soft landing. Strategy number one, build a transition ritual. Children who carry stress need a bridge between where they've been and where they are now. not a lecture, not a list of expectations, a ritual. For parents, when your child comes home from school, resist the urge to ask about grades or homework in the first 5 minutes. Give them a landing window, a snack, music, 10 minutes of nothing, then connect. For teachers, the first 5 to 10 minutes of class can be structured as a low stakes, calming activity, journal writing, quiet drawing, a selling playlist. This isn't lost instructional time, it is the foundation that makes instructional time possible. Strategy number two, give them a place to put it. Children often don't have language for what they're carrying. They just know something feels heavy. You could give them a container, a notebook, a feeling check in chart with faces, a simple question on a sticky note. On a scale of 1 to 5, how's your heart today? You're not asking them to perform emotional intelligence. You're showing them that their inner world is real and that it has a place in this room. Try asking, what's one word for how you walked in today? One word, no explanation required. That alone can unlock something. Strategy number three, separate the child from the behavior out loud. When a child who is carrying stress does act out, and they will, the most important thing you can do is make sure they don't hear you are a problem. Say it plainly. I don't have a problem with you. I have a concern about what just happened. Let's talk about what's going on. This is not permissiveness, this is precision. You are addressing the behavior without indicting the person or indicating the person is a bad person. And for a child who already feels like a burden or a failure, that distinction is everything. Safety comes before strategy. Creating a very soft landing, and the learning will follow. In closing, I want to leave you with this. The next time a child walks into your room or sits down at your kitchen table with a jaw that's tight and eyes that are somewhere else, don't take it as defiance. Take it as information. That child is telling you something happened before I got here. Something is still happening inside of me, and I don't know how to put it down yet. Your job is not to fix everything that happened before they arrive. Your job is to be the place where it's safe enough to start releasing it. That is not a small thing. That is, in many cases, the only thing that matters right now. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present. So here's my call to action. If this episode resonated with you, I want you to try one thing this week. Build a transition ritual for your family or for your classroom. 5 minutes, a ritual that says you're here now and you are safe. Share this episode with one teacher or one parent who has a child that always comes in ready to fight, because what looks like a child ready to fight is often a child who has been fighting all morning just to get there. New episodes of the Butterfly Wilson Talk will drop every single week. Subscribe on Spotify so you never miss one. Until next time, keep showing up for your children, keep growing alongside them, and always remember every child can bloom when given the right conversation and the right environment.